Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream about shopping for and buying an RV. So if you're joining us today, let us know where you're joining us from, but ask us your questions and we will tackle them one at a time.
And obviously, since this is a live stream, we will be answering your questions live. If you are watching this on a repeat, because we are going to save it and put it on our YouTube channel, feel free to leave questions in the comments below and we will do our best to answer those for you. Let's see, I think we got our first question.
Okay, so 8410 Mark asks, I will be attending the Tampa show. Do they have a large area of used Class A's to pick from or just all new stuff?
So what we found with all RV shows is that it is all new inventory. All the dealers will be out there, so if you're looking for something used, you can talk to the people there. But from what we've heard and what we understand, RV shows only allow new inventory there. They don't allow anything that's already been sold once.
Correct. But I have seen, for example, at the Pomona RV Show, there was a little lot that was separated from the show in the back where they had some used RVs, but it was a very limited selection.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Maybe this would be a good time to talk about things to consider if you do plan on going to an RV show to buy an RV.
Mm-hmm. So if you're going to an RV show, remember that an RV show isn't like a car show where you go and you see all the upcoming models from the different manufacturers. An RV show is basically a bunch of different RV dealers that are in the area coming together to try to sell as many RVs as possible. You'll hear from people that this is where you can get some of the lowest prices of the year. We haven't necessarily found that to be the case. A lot of times we've seen RVs that are for sale and you can get them, they're listing or trying to sell them for as much or sometimes even more than what they have them listed on the website. Keep in mind that we've seen RV dealers that will bump up prices just so they can give you a huge discount at the show and make it seem like you're getting this great deal. That doesn't mean that deals aren't there to be had, but when you are there, make sure that you don't get overwhelmed. Keep a list of things that you're looking for out of an RV. And as you go around, make sure that you're going to those different RVs that you have on your list first. It can be very overwhelming to spend an entire day or even a couple of days at an RV show just seeing everything that they have there.
Yeah, and I would say do your research. Do as much research as possible before you go to an RV show if you're planning on shopping for and buying an RV. Because you can get distracted by the glitzy glam things in the RV and, maybe lose track of a couple of must-haves that you have on your list or nice-to-haves and, figure out what the price is for the RV nationally before you go to the RV show so you have an idea of what the going rate is for that particular RV.
The other thing to take into consideration is if and when you buy an RV from an RV show, make sure that you get somewhere in a contract from that dealer that you can come down to their lot before you take delivery, go through the RV with a fine-tooth comb, and note all the different issues that you find with the RV, because no RV is going to be perfect. And have them fix those issues before you take delivery. What we did when we bought our RV off a lot was we went through all of those issues. We had a list. We gave it to the dealer and said, we want this list completed before we take delivery. We gave them a deposit on the coach, and then we paid in full and signed the delivery papers when we were at the dealership. Do not sign the delivery papers until the RV is completely up to your spec.
Roger from St. Louis. They're going full-time in 3 years, debt-free of course, looking for a fifth wheel. And the question is it best to mount solar or portable? Well, we went with solar portable and we enjoy it. It's worked out well for us and we didn't have to pay a lot of money for it. And it's done well for us, but it really depends on your needs.
Yeah, and since we are talking about how to buy and shop for an RV, that's one of the things I would look for is to see if there is an RV, a fifth wheel, for example, that is pre-wired for solar. If it is pre-wired, how much solar are you able to put on the roof? Those are things you should be writing down on a list that you want to do. Also, if you plan on using a portable unit, are the batteries accessible to hook that portable unit into? Again, put all of this down on the list, make a list of all your requirements, and make sure any fifth wheels that you're looking at will meet those. And if they don't, there are compromises that you may have to make.
Mm-hmm. Jack from Tampa, Florida, looking for a Class 8. How do you feel about overall size looking at 42 foot?
Should I look at a shorter one or more options and locations? That's really up to you, Jack. For us, we initially considered RVs between 38 to 42 feet. As we were shopping, we would go into them, and I think we were really getting caught off guard by all the glitz and glam you can find in those big diesel pushers, and they are awesome. I mean, there are ones with dishwashers, washer dryers, all this cool stuff. But for us, we wanted to be able to go off-grid, go camping in national parks and places that you could never get a 42 footer in there. So it really is dependent on how you want to travel and what you plan to do with your RVing life. If you're going from campground to campground, a 42 footer might be great. And is it just you, or do you have a family, dogs, people that are going to come visit? Do you need extra beds? We thought we needed extra beds, and we got an RV with a couch bed and a dinette that converted to a bed, and we only used it one time. So
yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, if you do want to go to national parks and it has, let's say, a 30-foot limit, there are options outside of the park that you can camp at and take your tow car in if you plan on towing a vehicle. So there are options, and it really depends on your personal preference. And that's sort of the really important thing to have when you're shopping for an RV, is making sure you have that must-have list and the nice-to-have list, so that you have exactly everything you must need in your RV. And if size is a part of that, then make sure that's on your list.
I like Kim's question. Hey, Kim, good to see you. Do you think you made a good decision on your first RV for learning? A lot of people seem to be changing motorhomes. The motorhome, when we bought it, was perfect for us. I still think it's a great motorhome, and I think we found it has more room and it's bigger than what we need. But when we purchased it, we had 2 dogs and we needed the room. For us, going from a house into a 30-foot RV or 29-foot RV was quite a shock for us. And I think if we had tried going into a camper van first, it wouldn't have worked out very well. So I think it was perfect for us. It was great to get our feet wet and understand that this was a lifestyle we wanted to continue doing. And now we can search for an RV that better suits our needs. And I would also say, going back to shopping for an RV, one thing or 2 things you should absolutely do when looking at any RV is, first and foremost, go and spend time in that RV. It's one reason I find RV shows a little difficult to buy from, because you have a lot of people going in and out of an RV. You need to get that RV just on your own, go to the dealer lot, ask them to just sit in it for half an hour or so, and pretend to make a meal, pretend to go to the bathroom, pretend to sit down and watch TV, or have them start the generator up or plug it in and turn the TV on, play around with everything, and see if it fits you. A lot of people have mentioned things like they need their CPAP machines in the bedroom. Bring your CPAP machine, plug it in, and make sure it's going to work in the bedroom for you. The second thing is, always take the RVs for a test drive. Make sure you're comfortable driving it. If you feel like you're afraid to drive something that big, I mean, we definitely were before we bought our RV. You just have to go out and do it. It's not as difficult as it may seem. And if you're having a lot of difficulty just taking it on a test drive, is this going to be something that you can live with?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've met too many people on the road who bought an RV without test driving it. And they're finding that it's too big or too uncomfortable for them to drive. So very important to make sure everyone drives.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Terry has a great question from Kentucky. I always heard 25% off MSRP is a good place to expect the purchase price to be.
I would say 25% off is a good average. For those who may not know what we're talking about, a lot of RV manufacturers, dealers will, for whatever reason, they inflate the price. And then the dealers will hope to get, you will hope to negotiate down to anywhere between 20 to 30% off MSRP. Now, one thing we found is it really depends on the demand for your particular RV, the brand, where you are in the country. All of those are going to factor into how much money you can get off. One thing we found was very helpful for us was going on sites like RV Trader, looking up your particular RV, finding dealers around the country and just emailing them and saying, look, I'm interested in buying this RV. I'm, willing to fly out there. What is the best price you can offer? Because I want that before I fly out there and sign any kind of contract. And we got some very aggressive pricing, and then we could take that and go to dealers and use that as a negotiating point. And you'll also start to see where you can expect to get that price down. Some people may have expectations are going to get 30 to 40% off. That may not happen, so it's good to have that in your back pocket and understand where you can get the pricing before you sit down and negotiate.
And brand has a lot to do with it too, and demand for the particular type of RV you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to affect how much of a price discount you can expect to have.
Yeah.
We made offers on 3 or 4 RVs, and I would say most of them did not come to the price that we wanted to buy the RV for, and so we were willing to walk away. And that's the other thing is, if you have a price in mind that you're willing to pay for an RV based on your research, if RV dealer can't match it, be willing to walk away.
Yep, I agree.
Jace West says, how much does fuel consumption factor into your decision for your next RV, and what's the worst MPG you would consider?
Well, I think we're getting the worst MPG we can right now. Gas RVs are notorious, or gas Class A RVs are notorious for having the worst MPG out there. We've gotten anywhere between 6 to 7 MPG, 7.5 on a best day if we have a tailwind. MPG is not factoring into our decision much at all. We are excited that a lot of the vans we're looking at are going to get quite a bit more than, I think, out of the vans we've looked at, some of the lowest MPG would be, like 15, 16?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is 2 to 3 times what we're getting now.
About what we get in our Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
Which would be very nice. We know people that full-time, and they stay at a campground for an entire winter, and they don't move. So if all you're doing is transporting your RV twice a year from A to B, depending on the season, gas mileage might not matter as much because you're only moving once or twice a year.
Exactly. Mark, I am thinking to only make offers on used 2013 and 2014 Newmar Dutch Stars at the low NSDA values, and walking if it's too much or more than that. Am I delusional? Mark, it's really, I wouldn't say you're delusional. I would say go in, start making offers on rigs that you're seeing, and sometimes a dealer will just be excited to get it off the lot. Other times I'll say no, especially if, I don't know what the demand right now is on those Dutch Stars, but if there is a high demand and they think they can sell it quickly, then, they may just thank you for your offer and tell you that, they're not going to work with it. That happened to us a few times.
Many times. But one thing to be careful with is we found a used Ventana before we bought the Newmar Baystar,
Mm-hmm.
and the price was, it just seemed a little too good to be true. And luckily, part of our shopping process is Joe will get under the RV and check everything, and you found water damage.
Yep. So that's a big thing. I mean, we're mostly talking about buying a new RV, but buying a used RV is very much the same process, but you also have to consider that this has been used. You don't know what has happened to it. So you're going to need to go through that RV with a fine-tooth comb and check for things like water damage. Do all the systems work? And there's a lot to go through. Sometimes people who aren't comfortable doing that will go out and hire a third party. And just make sure you read reviews on them. We have heard of third parties that aren't completely legitimate, but I felt comfortable doing it myself. So I would bring a flashlight, I would bring tape measures, different things along with me. I would crawl through the bays and look at it top to bottom. I'd even get on the roof and crawl around to make sure that there weren't cracks in the seams and water getting down into the walls.
Yeah, and if you have access to the build spec for the original RV, take a look at that and make sure a lot of the original components are still there. And if they're not, and they replaced it with, let's say, a different inverter, that you know who the manufacturer is and what the warranty is on it. Because we have also met a lot of people who've bought used, and there are things that have been added on or taken out of the RV, and they have no idea how to fix it or what happened to it.
Yeah, correct. I have one. Um, I would love to see you both stay with a Class A but move to a diesel pusher. Think about some of the older units. Mileage is much better and a great ride. So when we originally went shopping for RVs, we looked at older diesel pushers and think that, overall they are a fantastic RV. They're not for us right now though. We want to downsize, and 29, 30-foot RV that we currently have is just too big for us, too much room, and we really don't need the size of a diesel pusher. But I will say, we've driven some diesel pushers. They ride amazing. But I think our little Class B van, once we find one, is going to drive a lot more like a car and be a lot more comfortable for us. But one thing I want to talk about that no one has really asked for, and one thing we didn't know about when we were going to buy an RV, is what is the buying process of an RV actually like? So you found the perfect RV, you say, yes, this is the one I want. Well, what happens now? Unless you have, cash for it on hand, you're going to have to go through some kind of financing. We got pre-approved before we went down to the dealership for an approximate amount of what we were looking for in an RV. We didn't have to have a specific RV in mind, but we did have to have a price range we were looking for. So we got approved up to the maximum range we were willing to spend. When we got to the dealer, we found the RV we wanted. He was, as part of the negotiation, he was able to get us a better rate through his bank, and we went with that. The next step of the process is actually, a lot of people skip this, but it is sitting down and going through your RV head to tail, top to bottom, all the cupboards, everything, and making sure that where there are issues, you address them, you write them down, and you have the dealer address them. It's very unlikely that you're going to walk into an RV dealership, buy the RV, and drive off with it that day, especially if it's new, because there is a PDI process that all dealerships go through. When they get the RV from the factory, they, there are some things they put together, they go through it, they fill up the tanks for you, and there's some work on their part just cleaning it up to get it ready to be sold. So while they're doing that, make sure you have a list of issues that they're going to address, and when you go back in, have a copy of that list and go through it and make sure they've addressed everything. If they haven't, make them do it. And then really the final part of the process is taking delivery. That is going through and saying, everything on this RV looks good to me, and you're signing the contract to take delivery of that RV.
And I think just one thing I want to reiterate is make sure all the issues are fixed before you take delivery of the RV.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the dealer, if they do have a service center, you're not going to be their number one priority. Your RV could be there for months before they fix all the issues. But if you make them fix everything before you take delivery of the RV, they're much more motivated to make sure you're at the top of the list and everything gets fixed to your standards so that you pay for the RV and take it home.
Yep. I will say it's not uncommon for you to call up an RV dealership and say, hey, I have an RV, just bought it, have some warranty issues I need to bring in and have addressed. And them coming back to you and saying, great, we have an opening in 3 months. It's actually very helpful if you have local dealerships that you're going to be working with. Call them up and say, hey, I have an RV, I want to bring it in for sale, or not for sale, for repairs. What is the current wait time? And they'll tell you, they'll say, our next opening is in, whatever month. A lot of times dealerships will give priority to the people who purchased from them. So keep that in mind. That was a difficult thing for us being full-timers.
Absolutely. Let's see.
Like Dale's question.
Dale says, do you have advice on shopping for RV insurance?
Yeah, I think it's the same. So RV insurance, it depends on how you're going to use the RV. If you're going to use it as just like a weekend vehicle or something you take trips in once in a while, the insurance then is very similar to vehicle insurance. But if you're going to full-time in it, there are specific full-time policies. They are kind of a mix between a vehicle policy and a homeowner's policy. So they'll cover you in event of total loss. They'll also cover you for the things inside or breaking and entering, stuff like that. So when you're shopping, make sure that you're looking at policies that have good full-timer policies and be very specific, or look to see what they specifically cover in the RV, up to how much, and the different limits like that.
Do you have an opinion on purchasing from a private party or dealer?
I would say it depends on how comfortable you are. I'm assuming you're talking about a used RV here. If that's the case, then it really depends on how comfortable you are with looking and examining an RV over. You can find some great deals with private parties, and a lot of times they might be more willing to negotiate. And just keep in mind that the used RVs that dealers have, they paid an amount for it. They've gone through, they've detailed it, and they need to make a profit. So, either way, just find one that find someone you're comfortable dealing with, be it a private party or a dealer, and make sure you're comfortable either going through the RV and inspecting it yourself or hiring a third-party inspector. If you're going through a private party, make sure they'll allow you to do that.
Jeff wants to know if we went to the Newmar factory before we bought our RV.
We did not. We went afterwards, and after having gone to the Newmar factory, we would have, if we were purchasing new, we would have opted to take delivery at the factory. The reason for that is Newmar specifically, when they deliver, they will get it set up for you. They'll hook it up. You can camp there in your RV, make sure everything is working. If there are issues, they will come by and take the RV from you, get those fixed, give it right back. You can play with it some more. Really think that's the best way to go. So if you are looking at an RV, see if the factory offers factory delivery and if you can do something like that.
Yeah, if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely, and for anyone considering Newmar, I think without a doubt, I would recommend doing factory delivery.
This is a great question from Jamie Ellis. Do most manufacturer warranties cover full timing, or do you have to purchase a special warranty? So you don't need at least for Newmar, you do not need a separate warranty. I would double check with the manufacturer and make sure that you understand their warranty policy, as well as checking a lot of the forums and seeing what actual experience people have had trying to use that warranty. Because even if you're not a full-timer, we have heard stories about some people getting denied for certain things. So just read up on it. Jay Super says dealers are not your friend. I would agree with that. I would say whenever you're going into a dealer, make sure that, again, all the glitz and glam and all the things that are going around, make sure you don't get blindsided by any of that stuff and that you can go through and look at all the things and get some time away from the dealer in the RV to go through it at your own pace and not have someone talking to you or trying to distract you with other things. Stay on your own. Make sure you get a great price and you should be fine.
Yeah. And Jay also says, if you can, bring a friend with you who has years of RVing experience.
That is a great thing.
Which is best roadside assistance? Asked Richard.
We haven't, we actually didn't buy, I know a lot of people buy a new RV and then they'll buy a separate roadside assistance program. A lot of dealers will try to sell you into the roadside assistance as well as the extended warranty. So here's some notes on that. If you're buying a gas RV that's built on the Ford chassis, Ford will provide 3 years, 60,000 mile, I believe, 60 or 36,000 mile roadside assistance to you. There are specific limitations to that, so make sure you read through it. But it's good to do that kind of research and see if the manufacturer you're buying from actually has that type of policy. And I apologize for all the noise you hear in the background. Someone is currently vacuuming. That said, the other thing is extended warranties. If you're buying new, you're getting a warranty. There's no need to buy an extended warranty at that point. Dealers will usually upcharge you because they are making a profit on it. It is something that you can go back and buy later. If you're getting a used RV, you can buy extended warranties for that as well. Just keep in mind that the older the RV gets, the more the extended warranty is going to cost. There are all sorts of policies out there. Search for them. We decided to self-warranty ourselves and put money aside after the warranty period was up, that if we had problems, we would pay for those ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I made a little list here of different things to absolutely consider when you're going. We'll go through that checklist really quick. RV shows, again, make sure you do your research before you go to a show. Have a list of things and must-haves for the RV. Always test drive an RV. Do not buy an RV without test driving it. The buying process. This is going out, buying the RV, making sure that you go through that RV, make a checklist of all the problems, get those taken care of. Try to get financing before you even walk into the dealership so you know what your rate is there, and perhaps you can negotiate an even lower rate with them. The pre-delivery check, that is when you go in to take delivery of your RV, go through and double check to make sure that all the issues you identified before you signed any contract have been taken care of, and then you can go in and actually take delivery of your RV. Buying used, when you go through, buy a used RV, if you are not comfortable inspecting that RV all the way through, hire a third party to do it. Just make sure you check reviews of that person before they come out to look at the RV. Also check with the either private party or dealer you are getting that RV or you're looking at that RV through, that they will allow a third party inspector to come do it.
I'll say one thing that I've learned, in at least the last year and a half that we've been full-timing and visiting a lot of the RV manufacturers, is if you're considering a certain brand, see if they offer factory tours. If they do, take the time, spend the money to go and check them out. You'd be surprised at what you'll learn and what you might be impressed or put off by when you go visit. And certain things that you may not have considered will come up.
Yep.
And it will only help you in getting a better understanding of the type of RV that you're looking for. And the more research you can do, the better. It took us over a year and a half to decide on the RV that we bought, and we even flew to Florida to go to one of the biggest RV dealerships in the country to look at their entire inventory. So the more research you can do, the more RVs you can see and test drive, I think the better it will be to help you make the best decision. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a very happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us
For
today.
those who don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays with whatever you do celebrate. Hope everyone is safe, has a great holiday, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.